What's good, everybody? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of Fair Use. And today I'm reacting to something here in the Black Manosphere community. Our boy BGS Ibmore, his video is called Morning Rant, Manosphere Mainstream. Now, about Kevin Samuels. Now, let me kind of get into this before we kind of start. Kevin Samuels recently was on Entertainment Tonight after being mentioned, after having his Instagram live with Nicki Minaj, and subsequently thereafter doing a video shoot with Future. Now, many people here on Black YouTube have weighed in, but there is some civil war, or civil warring, if you will, or infighting inside of the Black Manosphere community amongst content creators who are not as lucky or as not as talented, and they're very upset at the way that Kevin handled the Nicki Minaj thing, or they're upset that their own YouTube channels have not progressed as he has. But let's get into the video and let's get into it.
Mainstream enough, he thought that the manosphere would never go mainstream, or the personalities in the manosphere would never go mainstream. And Entertainment Tonight is about as mainstream as you can get. And guess who was on it? Talking about the same things we've been arguing about. The illustrious Kevin Samuels.
Now, let me kind of stop right there. That was actually in response to DJ Academics, who said that Kevin Samuels would never go mainstream. And then like 2 weeks later, he's on mainstream. Even so much so that DJ Academics had to apologize and take that back. But remember, he's talking about, Kevin Samuels has been talking about the same things that's in the mainstream that we've been talking about in the Black Manosphere YouTube community for years. And people are kind of pissed off. Let's find out why.
Kevin Samuels. Like, if you ask for it, guess what? The universe will present the receipts, sometimes faster than you would like. And I remember us arguing about this. Hey, what is it going to go mainstream? What is it going to look like? And people clutching their pearls and fainting on the couch about virtually nothing, because your point of view, or what you feel your point of view, didn't get represented in the way that you thought it should. Just like Tasha K fans want.
All right. So what he's saying is that there are people who have their panties in a bunch in the Black Manosphere community because your positions didn't get represented the way that you thought they should. In other words, you are not good enough to go mainstream like Kevin Samuels. You didn't put the time in. You're not as talented. You are not professional. You didn't know how to work with people. So therefore, because some of these talking points that have come out of the community have went mainstream, and certain people feel that they have not been credited for certain things or certain things they said, they're butthurt, okay? And now, let me talk about this fake news, because BGS Ibmore is going to talk about Tasha K, who interviewed Kevin Samuels. Her fans were upset because she didn't really try to roast the guy. So a lot of guys in the Black Manosphere are mad because Kevin Samuels didn't insult Nicki Minaj. And it's not that he didn't insult her. You're mad because you didn't get a chance to be on there with her yourself, because you're not going anywhere as a YouTuber, or you're not going anywhere as a subscriber. So that's why you're really upset. Let's continue.
Okay, fans wanted her to take off the head of Kevin when he went to interview. You got to talk to people, okay? You're going to have to encounter people. We cannot stay in our bubble, in our cave for another 15 years. No, I don't want to do that. I'm sorry. I don't. And I was on.
Here's another point of contention. A lot of guys want to stay the same. A lot of Black YouTubers in the Black Manosphere want to stay the same. Struggle streaming on StreamYard, Dusty, begging for cash apps, looking hella homeless like I'm looking right now, but I'm rich, so it don't really matter. All right. You don't want to progress your life. You want to still talk about the same stupid ass shit we've been talking about for 10 years. Okay, yeah, single motherhood's a problem. We know it. Yeah. The liberal left is a problem. We know it. Yeah. All right. But what are some of the things that we can do? What are some of the things we can do to progress the conversation or progress our actions? Matter of fact, we don't want to do that. A certain element of guys in the community want to stay the same and not make any changes, and we're not making any progress. And that's what happens when you have talented blacks or anybody in any community. When you're doing very well, obviously you want to move the needle forward, and certain people want to be like crabs in the buckets and pull you back in because they are not talented at all. Sorry, called you a no talent. Oops.
I don't. And I was on our New Styles panel. We were talking about something completely different, and somebody barged in to tell me about this bullshit. Why? Because she talked about being an independent woman and women valuing themselves, and that hurts your ears, which is something we've heard over the past, I'd say 15 years, and heard worse, abort black babies. You had women in this sector have pictures of a black man hanging in a tree while they're swinging, okay, on a swing. And this little bullshit that Nicki Minaj said upset you? Are you really kidding? I'm gonna say, are you kidding me?
Absolutely not. It's the truth. So people were upset that Nicki Minaj is talking about independent women and independent women doing their own thing, and they're upset that he didn't really attack her for those talking points. Listen, it's something that we've been hearing for a long time, right? He's even said there are women here in the space that talk about you shouldn't have black children, you shouldn't have black kids. There's one in particular, you guys know her, okay? Her last name is G here on YouTube, so we know who she is. We've heard that there are people here that say they wish they never had black boys, that, they wish that black men would get assassinated, all kind of hate speech, posting pictures of black men being hung. And then we don't really get upset about that. But now Nicki Minaj, who is really having a decent conversation with Kevin Samuels, is stating her point of view just as much as he is, and the conversation is going fairly well. We tend to have our panties in a bunch about that. And the reason why is because Kevin Samuels is now in the mainstream. That's why guys are pissed off. It's not the fact that he's having a conversation, with somebody and he's not really pushing back like you feel he should. It was the same problem with Brittany Renner, right? Because he's on the same place as Brittany Renner. How can this guy who started off on the same panels as me doing so much better than I am, and I'm still broke, I'm still living with my girlfriend and her daughter, or I'm still basically homeless, I can't buy a house, I'm living in a fucking apartment, I'm still a dusty, I'm still living in my mama's house or my mama's basement. But Kevin Samuels is making millions of dollars because I'm not proactive like him. That's really what it's about, and it's called hate, all right? A lot of hating going on in the Black Manosphere community, and that's why I don't really with a lot of y'all no more.
Kidding me? This upsets you? Grown ass men, this upsets you to the point where we're ranting and raving and throwing tantrums at each other. Are you kidding? Small potatoes. And I'm looking at it, they're basically getting along. They have differences of opinion. What you think she's going to say? Oh, Kevin, you're right. And I think that we should be weak and submissive and be more like Latinas. And
listen to this. He acknowledges they were getting along. A lot of people don't want to see black men and black women having a conversation with differences of opinion, because either she needs to gobble us up and kill us, or we need to kill them. Anarchy is all folks want. A lot of times in black YouTube.
And cooking clean for our man, and her? Really? Come on. That's what you really expected. That would have.
By the way, this beat is slapping for real. He need to let me get this. This is something like a Harlem Shake to him. I'm just saying though.
A win for you. And before I even get started on this, man, about this, because this is really troubling for me. Okay, really troubling for me, because I was listening to Dr. T's live, right? Dr. T.S.I. Johnson's live. And he was discussing the stuff that we didn't know about Emmett Till and Emmett Till's death. Mm-hmm. So I'm listening to this, and I'm already not having the greatest of days. Mm-hmm. It's busy and it's kind of hectic, and you know how things get. My grandson, I'm helping him with his homework, and it is what it is when you have to deal with kids. I'm a grandfather. I got to deal with a 9-year-old, right? Okay. Not my job, but hey, it is what it is. And Dr. T is playing this video, right? Okay. This professor. And she talking about the death of Emmett Till and how they had to fish out his body.
All right, so for those of you who know, Emmett Till was a young man from Chicago that was visiting his family in Jackson, Mississippi, and he was accused of whistling to a white woman, and 2 white guys came in there and they ended up killing him. But watch what happened when they talked about how they tried to find his body and what they really found.
Okay, we all know that. We're all aware of that. But when she said that before they found his body, they're dragging this river for Emmett Till's body. Mm-hmm. And what they found out, hurt my heart. Mm-hmm. Before they even found his body, they found 7 other little black boys' bodies in that river where they had been dumped. Wow. And Emmett Till happened to be the 8th one. They had to drag up 7 bodies before they found his. that had been dumped the same way his was. So I'm sitting there listening to this stuff and I'm shaking because I'm black pill and I've learned to be black pill and I've learned to be neutral about this stuff. You know, it is what it is and stuff happens no matter how ugly it is. And I'm sitting here shaking because there was so much hatred that had been pent up. Now I wanted to hate every white person on the planet when I heard that you so callously cared about black life. And it's one thing, hey, you know, if you're a black man, you're an adult black man. Okay, you're an adult. You handle what comes to you.
Okay.
The little freaking black boys that you so callously just throw in a river because you can.
Right.
And you just dump their bodies like they're nothing.
Right.
And I've been down south, and I know how black men and boys got disappeared. Why do you think Richard Williams had to leave the goddamn South? Because he would have been disappeared just like.
So he's going to talk about why Serena Williams' father left the South, because his friend also disappeared and was never found because of racism. So BGS Ibmore is making a clear point. Look at the things that have been happening to black men in the country. We could talk about mass incarceration. You know, there was the Tuskegee experiment. We all know about that. And these are the things that are still happening. 7 young black boys are never found again and could not even be recognized because of their bodies being so disfigured. And people are up in a bunch about a conversation that Nicki Minaj had with Kevin Samuels, this fake outrage, when the real things that are concerning black men, we are not really concerned about. And when black women say that, we get upset. When black women say that, you know, hey, you black men don't even care about your own situations. Yeah, they're right. And we get pissed off because they're the truth. They're telling the truth. We've never really cared about what happened to each other. And so when they make it a point, we want to get upset. But let's continue.
Because he would have been disappeared just like his friend. That's why he left. They didn't tell that in King Richard. They didn't tell you why he left Shreveport, Louisiana, because his friend got disappeared and was never found again. And he didn't want to be the second person to get disappeared. So he left. They don't tell you that. So that's what I'm dealing with. And that's way more important to me than what the Nicki Minaj said to Kevin Samuels, right? Because to me, it's a nothing burger. And everybody's all in a tizzy because Nicki Minaj and Kevin Samuels and Nicki Minaj might have rolled her eyes at him and she might have looked bothered. And it was just a bad look for the goddamn Manosphere. And you know what? I didn't give a flying about it. Not one flying because compared to what I heard out of Dr. T's mouth and what I heard that lady said about Emmett telling them other 7 black boys that we don't even know who their goddamn names are because their bodies were so decomposed they couldn't be recognized. That bothered me. That bothered me way more than any of this bullshit about how we look in the goddamn public. And then 10 years before, to the day, almost to the day, the Army executed his father. It's come his father wasn't there around to protect him because the Army executed him for so-called assaulting a white woman in Europe.
All right. So he makes the case that there are really bigger issues that warrant our attention, past or present, because differently than in comparison to Nicki Minaj rolling her eyes. And see, here's the thing, BGS Ibmore, these guys know that, but they want to have fake outrage. And the fake outrage is because, number one, they don't care about black men. And these guys are jealous. You have underachieving African-American men, just like in any other community, guys who are jealous, who don't want to put in any hard work. You earn money, you don't want to invest. And when something happens and you don't get your way and your way doesn't work in life, you get jealous of those people who do make it. And ultimately, it is your fault. And that's what the problem is with Kevin Samuels. You don't hear me hating on him. He does way better than me, makes more money than me. But guess what? I'm a top 3 to 4% income earner in the United States. I'm not worried about what he's doing because I have enough confidence in myself to keep reinvesting into my business and to keep trying to make my content and quality better. So I'm not threatened by Kevin Samuels. He's one of my good friends, one of my best friends I have probably in life right now. All right. Because That's the kind of person I am. I congratulate. I'm not a hater. But unfortunately, we have too many haters and underachievers here in the black community, especially amongst black men, which is why our men don't have anything, which is why our women don't have anything, which is why our kids don't have anything. Because instead of just working together and finding out how do you do this like other groups do, we don't. We find little reasons that are not really significant to start bickering and arguing and fighting over nothing, which is why we have nothing. And a lot of guys who end up making money in the black community have to move because they're in fear of getting shot down and killed. Gunshots! So guys, that's going to be it for me. Shout out to brother BGS Ibmore. Check him out. The first comment pinned to the top. I'm out of here. It's late. And I hope you guys enjoyed the reaction. Shout out to everybody subscribing. Hit the bell. And as you know, the buffoonery remains at an all-time high. I'm out.